You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney prior to and during questioning. If you can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. You understand your rights? Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. As always, I'm your host, Woody Overton. And with me are my co-host and partner, Jim, the Hitman Raffman.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Woody.
Sup, buddy? So, y'all, we're here today to talk about something that is, I hate to say pretty exciting, but it is pretty exciting. But Jim and I are going to talk to you about something that's coming up for Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. And it's going to be unique and different.
Well, definitely going to be different. It's going to be exciting.
All right. So, let's talk about being a victim of a crime. Being the victim of one thing, if you're a murder victim, you really don't know, right? I mean, you're gone. You're removed from this earthly realm, if you will. The real victims at that point, if you're a homicide victim, are your family members and your friends and your loved ones.
Yeah, very much so. It's, the ones who have to live with that for the rest of their lives.
Right. And especially if it's your child, right? And if you don't have children, I couldn't fathom the loss of a child, right? Mine are mostly grown now, in their 20s or in college, but I do have a 9-year-old son, and, the thought of losing one, scares the hell out of me every day. And Jim, I know you have children.
Absolutely. I mean, look, we go through life thinking, okay, we're going to bury our parents. We never think about we're going to bury our own child. So it's not something that we ever think about. And it's obviously something that's feared and incredibly difficult to deal with when that happens to somebody in our line of work. We have to deal with that, unfortunately. But
yeah, the only thing that I would fear, more than losing one is to lose one by a crime of violence. And the only bigger fear than that, which would be a nightmare, and is a nightmare for so many families, is if the crime is never solved.
I would agree. That is unimaginable.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit. This is an announcement show, y'all. We're going to tell you a little bit about what's coming up. And it's a new direction for Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. We're still going to do our regular episodes, but I was contacted about 2 years ago by a lady whose daughter was 19 years old and was murdered. And at that time that she contacted me, the case was approximately 12 years old and cold. So it's not even cold. It's more like frozen.
Right.
But she contacted me about working it from the cold case, perspective, because she wasn't happy with, the law enforcement, detectives, et cetera, that were handling it. But then for whatever reason, she backed off. And I think matter of fact, I know she told the sheriff's office that she was bringing me in because she was requesting her daughter's file. And once they found out it was me, and we'll get into the history of my history with the sheriff's office later on. Once they found out it was me, they pretty much promised her everything but the moon to get her to back off of it. And so she did. And guess what? it's been a couple more years have gone by, and now the case is 15 years cold, and the law enforcement has never solved it. And the mother reached out to me again about working her daughter's case. And first thing I did was call Jim.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is definitely a solvable case. In my opinion, there's just some particulars with it that I don't think ever got looked at correctly, or with the amount of care and concern that there should have been involved when doing a homicide. But this is a solvable case. There's some missing pieces and some holes in this, and we're going to expose them.
Yeah, we agreed and accepted to work the case. Now, we're not getting paid anything. We're doing this, but I got the mother to agree to let us work it real time on the podcast, Real Life, Real Crime. So everything that we do, we're going to put it into episodes. So you're going to get to listen to Jim and I work a real time cold case homicide. And that's 15 years old. And y'all, this story has some, pretty outstanding twist, if you will, from bad police work to possible multiple victims that could be tied together. I'm not going to give anything away now. We're not going to tell you the victim's name now. We just wanted to give y'all a heads up that this is coming, and it's coming in the next few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. That there's just so many missing pieces to this. When we got the information and started our initial look at it, just to, see where the missing pieces were within this. And, it even started right from the get-go, just the fact that the active or the detective in charge of the case didn't even bother to go see the victim's mother in person, just picked up the phone and made a call. I mean, come on. You got to have some sensitivity with that. Somebody just lost a child, and you're going to pick up the phone and just do a phone call. You're not even going to go there in person to show that you even care or concerned.
Right.
None. I mean, it started from the beginning.
Just like if y'all remember our episode on state ground, and when Jim and I went over, and Jim to notify the victim's mother, and Jim got down on his knees and held her hand and everything. I mean, that's just respect, first of all. And secondly, don't you think you would want to interview the family and start getting information, et cetera? And what actually happened in this case, y'all, the victim's mom just got a phone call. And I mean, but this case is going to present a lot of challenges for Jim and I. As you know, we're no longer in law enforcement. We're going to be working as consultants, independent consultants on it. And you could call it from an investigative journalist angle or however you want to, but we're going to put our skills really to the ultimate test. Now, we've worked a lot of cases over the years, and we had a lot of great success, but this now, not being in law enforcement, and then the case being 15 years old already, but guess what? It spans 2 states, Louisiana and Texas. I mean, it's just a ton of stuff. It's a ton of things that go into it challenge wise, but there's DNA, there's, cell phones, there's all kinds of things that have not been worked. And you're looking at between multiple law enforcement agencies in Texas and Louisiana. And guess what? Yes, we bleed blue. We love our police. And will to the day we die. But if you're wrong,
you're wrong.
That's right. I mean, we're gonna speak for this family. We're gonna speak for the victim, and we're gonna work it. And I guess, Jim, we're gonna find out if we're as good as we remember ourselves being.
I think we're going to do very well on this, especially with all the advancements in technology that has come since this case first opened up many years ago. I think some of that's going to help us out along the way as well.
Yeah. And so y'all, this is a very, very interesting case without giving away details before we get into the podcast. It's got lots of really freaky aspects to it. We know you're true crime fans out there, but we are actually going to need y'all's help, the listeners. It's 15 years. You know, people die, people go to prison, people forget things.
People know things.
That's true. Yeah, that's true too. People know that. You're right. People know things, and they're older now and may have remorse. They may have done something stupid when they were young, but there's real strong potential that this cold case ties into another cold case that only happened a month and a half before this murder did, and everything in it is identical. Almost the victimology, the victims knew each other. They were friends. They ran in the same circle. They were found without going into it, and the, what would you call it?
Found in the same manner.
Found in the same manner, the same modus operandi, if you will, from everything. So its potential could lead to, I mean, this is without us finding out if there are any more cold cases that happen that we don't know about. We haven't got to investigate it yet. So it could be a potential serial killer. I mean, which is 2 or more deaths that aren't related. And that it's just a lot of twists and turns, but we're going to need the public to come forward, and we will be creating a dedicated hotline for tips, et cetera. And as we produce the information on the podcast and you hear about it, you know, if you know something, call it in so we can investigate it. So we're going to be doing that. What else, Jim?
The other part of it too is there's actually a reward. The family's already putting up a set amount, and I think that pot will grow over time, not just from the family, but maybe from us or from other people that want to help out in a reward to solve this case. I mean, you're talking about a mother that lost their child, and it's a 15-year-old case, and we need to go ahead and get this solved and get the reward, because rewards bring sometimes the best tips, if not the tip.
Yeah. So I think that's an excellent idea. I think we're going to reach out to everybody, and that the family does have a reward, and we'll get into that later on. But I think we're going to create a real life, real crime, the podcast reward for information that leads to the arrest and conviction of the person or the people that committed these crimes, or at least the one crime. So, and you know, we're going to do media blitz on it. I mean, in Louisiana and Texas. So, but it's just going to be interesting. It's going to be challenging. And the main thing is we're going to do it real time. So we're going to record everything, every witness we talk to, every, statement we take, etc. Now we're going to release episodes as we get the information. But the episodes are going to be, like the first episode will start with the family, the victim's mom and the victim's family members and friends, and give you some victimology, if you will, on the sweet, beautiful young lady who was murdered. And then we'll do episodes as we start the investigation and what we do. But what's going to be different on this, we're going to release the regular episodes so everybody can stay abreast of what's going on, but we are going to record every single thing we do, from witness statements to Jim and I sitting around kicking the can and ideas, to what we order for lunch. We're going to record everything, and we'll put all the extra material up for patron members. And so, it's going to be a new direction for real life, real crime. We're excited about it. I know I'm excited to work with you again, buddy, on a homicide.
Absolutely. We're going to speak for the victim. We're going to speak for the victim's family, and we're going to work hard on this. But it's also, as unfortunate of a situation it was 15 years ago, it's an exciting time for us, and you're going to be a part of this journey with us every step of the way.
Right. And that's exciting. But to have the fan interaction and y'all are going to help us solve this case. We're going to do what we do, but we won't be able to do it without you.
Absolutely.
So, that's coming up, y'all. And like I said, when the investigation slows, if there's a week, that we don't have anything new to offer, then we'll run some regular real life, real crime, the podcast episodes of, stories cases, et cetera, that we worked in the past. So it's coming. 15-year-old cold case. We're going to release the name and, on the first episode, which should be in a couple weeks. And, but
there's just some information we need to be able to get,
right,
for the initial stages of everything. This is why we're saying it's going to be a few weeks, because there's just some requests, documents, things like that right, we need to go through, comb through, and then get started. But as soon as we do get started with all that, y'all are going to hear about it.
Right. It's not like y'all, when you're a cop, you can, pull all the information, right? So we're having to get information through public information requests and records requests and, interviewing family members. I mean, it's a lot of stuff, but it's coming and it's going to be a hell of a ride. And I have never worked a case, and I know Jim hasn't either, a major case, of a homicide where the victims' families didn't become our family.
Okay.
And
that's right.
That's a huge part of this. The victim's mom is such a sweet lady, and all she wants to know is who killed her daughter. And it's like I said at the beginning of the show, I just absolutely could not imagine the horror of living with it for 15 years and getting the runaround, from bad police work and et cetera. Who knows? Maybe somebody's covering up for somebody, but there are some twists and turns in this that are just make you scratch your head. Some of them are going to really piss you off. And now if it makes you mad or makes you go, what do you think it's doing to the victim's family?
Yeah. Yeah, no, we're going to work hard on this, and we're going to speak for the victim, as we said before. And, this poor mom's been living with this for 15 years. It's time that she gets some answers that she rightfully deserves, and does it and gets those answers with care and concern, unlike how this whole thing started 15 years ago with a phone call.
Yeah, exactly.
It's terrible.
Yeah, that's
absolutely
that
terrible.
Was the opening round, if you will, and some really shitty work. Or lack of work, I guess you would say.
The epitome of lazy. You can't get in your car and drive over there to actually meet a parent of somebody you're about to deliver the absolute worst news to,
right,
in the world. Like, I don't know what news could be worse than that.
Right.
And you're going to pick up a phone and just call.
Yeah.
Epitome of lazy.
Lack of professionalism. And it's pretty astounding, y'all. But anyway, so look forward to it. It's coming. I think 2 weeks, we'll probably drop our first episode in 2 weeks, and you'll get to know the victim. You'll get to know the victim's family and her story, and then we'll start the case. Right, Jim?
That's right.
So we're looking forward to it. It's a whole new angle, but I hate to again use the term exciting, but it is exciting. And I was on the phone with the mother last night, and I told her we were going to be calling her again this morning, and she just busted out crying. And she said, I've been praying for 15 years for somebody that actually cared to work the case, and wanted to actually speak for my daughter. And guess what? That's what Jim and I are going to do. And
100%.
and yeah, y'all can help us, and we're going to need your help. So that's it. We just wanted to.
His family needs closure.
Yes, they do. And if we can't give it to them, we're going to die trying. And, once we take a hold of it, we're never going to let it go until it's solved or one of us, or both of us dies. I mean, this is it. And that's the way we've always worked them. And it's the way we always will. So
that's right.
Well, we appreciate y'all and for listening. And Jim,
well, stay tuned. You'll hear from us in a few weeks on this one.
That's it coming up.
Appreciate your help on this.
Yeah, and live cold case homicide investigation, real time on Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. And we appreciate y'all. Until next time or ever, don't let us catch you down on Murder Bayou. Peace. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney prior to and during questioning. If you can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. You understand your rights